Southsea Castle, historically also known as Chaderton Castle, South Castle and Portsea Castle, is an artillery fort originally constructed by Henry VIII on Portsea Island, Hampshire, in 1544. It formed part of the King's device program to protect against invasion from France and the Holy Roman Empire, and defended the Solent and the eastern approach to Portsmouth. The castle had a square central keep, two rectangular gun platforms to the east and west, and two angled bastions to the front and rear, and was an early English example of the Tres Italienne style of fortification popular on the continent. The Cowdray engraving of the Battle of the Solent in 1545 depicted Henry VIII visiting the castle. Despite several serious fires, it remained in service and saw brief action at the start of the English Civil War in 1642 when it was stormed by Parliamentary forces. The castle was expanded in the 1680s by Sir Bernard de Gaume and, after a period of neglect in the 18th century, was redesigned again in 1814 during the Napoleonic Wars. After a brief period of use as a military prison in the 1840s, the fortification was expanded in the 1850s and 1860s with additional gun batteries on the east and west sides. The defenses were upgraded throughout the century due to the fears of a French invasion and formed part of the plan for defending Portsmouth during the First World War. In the interwar years, some of the fortifications were stood down, but the castle saw service again in the Second World War, when it was involved in Operation Grasp, the seizure of French naval vessels in Portsmouth Harbour. In 1960, Southsea Castle, by now obsolete, was sold to Portsmouth City Council. It was restored to its pre-1850 appearance and opened as a tourist attraction, receiving over 90,000 visitors from 2011-12. Southsea Castle was built as a consequence of international tensions between England, France and the Holy Roman Empire in the final years of the reign of King Henry VIII. Traditionally, the Crown had left coastal defences to local lords and communities, only taking a modest role in building and maintaining fortifications. And while France and the Empire remained in conflict, maritime raids were common, but an actual invasion of England seemed unlikely. Modest defences based around simple blockhouses and towers existed in the southwest and along the Sussex coast, with a few more impressive works in the north of England, but in general, the fortifications were limited in scale. In 1533, Henry broke with Pope Paul III over the annulment of his long-standing marriage to Catherine of Aragon. Catherine was the aunt of Charles V, the Holy Roman Emperor, who took the annulment as a personal insult. This resulted in France and the Empire declaring an alliance against Henry in 1538, and the Pope encouraging the two countries to attack England. An invasion of England appeared certain. In response, Henry issued an order, called a device, in 1539, giving instructions for the defense of the realm in time of invasion, and the construction of forts along the English coastline. The immediate threat passed, but resurfaced in 1544. With France threatening an invasion across the Channel, backed by her allies in Scotland. Henry therefore issued another device to further improve the country's defences, particularly along the south coast. The Cowdray engraving of the castle during the Battle of the Solent. Based on an original painting from between 1545 to 48, the castle was built on the southern end of Portsea Island to protect a deep water channel running through the Solent to the Royal Naval Base at Portsmouth. Work began in early 1544, under the overall direction of Sir Anthony Knivet, the Governor of Portsmouth, supported by Richard Cawarden, the Dean of Chichester, and John Chaderton. The captain of the Portsmouth garrison, Thomas Bertie, was appointed as the master mason. That is all. Subscribe and post comments for future videos.